No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Well, Ezzy, much like the Winnipeg Jets, this show didn't start on time. And that
you can blame me. That's my fault.
Well, I did already in the chat, but much like the Winnipeg Jets, who, unfortunately for them, in a must-win game, that's not my quote, that's from their head coach, they didn't must win it. In fact, they did the opposite. They must lose it. And an anemic first period, unfortunately for the home team, led to a lackluster effort, and they fell behind and couldn't get much done. Good morning. What is it? Good afternoon. I don't want to get into your and Drew's debate right now, Ezzy, because it's 5:15 almost. So we're kind of in that almost in that midpoint. Good afternoon, Winnipeg. Good afternoon, Manitoba. And for all of those joining us live, welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. I am the occasional host, Dave Manouk, joined by my main man, Ezzy Ginsburg, to provide some analysis, hopefully on something other than that hockey game. Maybe, Ezzy, we can do. Folks are asking for an extended Moose minute. The Moose, of course, because of their big win yesterday, comeback win, they have a point streak of 9 games. I'm going to, of course, talk about that later, but some folks are calling for that to be the entirety of today's discussion. I won't subject it. But
honestly, I would rather talk about the Moose right now than the Jets. I mean, let's get right into it, and I'm sure we're going to touch on the Niederreiter trade.
We're going to touch on everything, Ez. We're touching on
everything about that trade, Dave, and I love the player, and I love the fact that the Jets didn't have to give up a roster player. I love a second-round pick, and obviously it's not a 2023 because
they don't have it.
Right, so they don't have a second-round pick. So they don't have any second-round picks for the next couple of years, but I think it's a really good exchange because of the fact that not only will Niederreiter help you in the goal-scoring department, he's got 1 year left on his contract at a really manageable $4 million a year, right? Like I would argue he's underpaid. He could definitely be kind of in that $5 to $5.5 million range. But going back to this game, you mentioned it's a must-win game. The game against Colorado on Friday night was also a must-win game. And the Jets have lost 10 of their last 16 games. I repeat, the Jets have lost 10 of their last 16 games. They've only won 6. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games, and they continue to struggle to score goals. And they're now in a wild card spot, and the Jets are in serious danger if they keep playing this way. Again, if they keep playing this way, the Jets are in serious danger of missing the playoffs. And that's not something we would have said even a couple of weeks ago, Dave. So it's really remarkable. You lose 3 of 4 on the road, a tough Eastern Eastern Conference road trip. And then you come back and you know Colorado and the Islanders aren't going to be easy, but it's unacceptable at this point in the season to lose 5 of 6. And we'll get into it here, but that first period again, it seems like it's the Achilles heel of this team. And yes, the Jets had a much better second period and they were generating more offense. But that first period put them in a position, Dave, that they were chasing the entire game. So I mean, it's really unfortunate. And it's one thing if we were talking about how, the Jets they lost by a goal and, Varlamov played really well. The Jets played really well. They just, they couldn't get, the extra point or the couple points, but the Islanders were the better team, plain and simple. And at this point, they need points. And, Colorado, they're not going anywhere, right? Minnesota's not going anywhere. Dallas has been struggling, as we talked about on yesterday morning show. But this is a team right now that they're having trouble with the fundamentals of hockey. And they also, where's the passion? Like, where's the heart and soul of this team, Dave? Like, at times, like, even when they pulled the goalie there with, 4 minutes left or 5 minutes left, whatever it was. I mean, just where's the energy and the passion on this team? Like, they're in serious trouble here. And yes, Niederreiter is going to help. And there's a good chance that he's going to play Tuesday night against LA. But Niederreiter is not going to fix all of the issues the Jets currently have.
No, and we'll talk more about that acquisition that took place yesterday afternoon, a little bit later in the show, Ezzy. But, I mean, there's no explaining that effort from this Winnipeg Jets club. I mean, Pierre-Luc Dubois tried to get some juice going in the second period with a pretty good tilt, trying to, wake up his team. But I mean,
and he had some scoring chances too. PLD, he had the deflection. He had a shot right from the slot area, right? Like he had some scoring chances, Dave, in the fight, right? But no, it's not. I mean, you're searching for moral victories right now.
Well, and just to quickly, I'll touch on Niederreiter for one more second, but it was funny because I did say, like, guys, what is going on? Why is this team like allergic to shooting the puck? Like it's enough already. Like you've got Nikolai Ehlers, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, 3 world-class guys when they have the puck on their stick. And it's like right now. And again, another thing, starting the third period, they've missed the net 15 times in this game in the first 40 minutes. 15 misses, 15 opportunities to create a rebound. It's just embarrassing. It's just bad. And again, I don't know the stat in terms of where they are in terms of the league. Well, it looks like we've lost Ezzy for a second, or he's thinking. There we go. He's back. So look, it's one of those things that the Jets have to clean up. They just can't do it. And to me, one of the biggest questions, look, 2 big question marks coming into this game as for sure were, especially, after not coming into the game. The first one was Connor Hellebuyck not starting. I mean, you pulled Connor Hellebuyck presumably in the third period to start that third period of that Colorado game, because you're anticipating that you're going to use him today and you want him to take that period off, not get peppered with shots and get some energy. And instead of doing that, what ends up happening? You end up not using Connor Hellebuyck, your number 1 goalie in a must-win game. Use David Rittich. And again, I'm not blaming David Rittich on this one, because Rittich has been good. Hold on, we got Big Daddy coming in through this screen. We're going to remove him from this one as a little different view for you, but that's okay. We'll make it work. But the fact of the matter is that I was just saying, Ezzy, it's just an unusual situation where you end up taking out, not using Connor Hellebuyck in a game that's really, again, a must win. Look what happens. Minnesota wins. Right now, and as you said, Ezzy, to start the show, Minnesota wins this game, their game, in Columbus, a comeback game. Kirill Kaprizov had a natural hat trick, I believe. But the fact is, you've got a situation where they came back, won the game, pushed into second place, pushed the Jets into the first wildcard spot. And if Seattle wins tonight, Seattle is now leapfrogging Winnipeg, and now you're in the second wildcard spot. So in a game where you absolutely needed to win, not using your number 1 goaltender, when you pulled him out of the game in the third period of that game on Friday, is, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I know a lot of our colleagues in the press box were discussing that when the game began, why it would be David Rittich over Connor Hellebuyck. And again, the goaltenders, unlike, except for Linus Ullmark, as you tweeted out on Friday, they generally don't score. So you can't blame it all on, especially when the Jets aren't scoring goals, you can't blame it all on goaltending. But of course, David Rittich, I'm sure, would want those first and third goals back. But to me, that was once that game was about to start, that was a big question mark for me. What did you kind of take away from that situation?
Yeah, I was obviously surprised that Connor Hellebuyck didn't get the start, and they went with David Rittich, who did some admirable work in mop-up duty against the Avalanche, right? But, I mean, this is a must-win game. And so it's easy, it's low-hanging fruit, right, to say that, Rittich was bad on the first goal and even the third goal, even though Brock Nelson, I mentioned this during the All-Star Skills competition when he won the accuracy, Dave. He's been a criminally underrated player basically his entire career. And so this guy's a sniper. So it's the first goal, to me, that's the I guess the weaker goal, if you want to call it that, right? The Bo Horvat goal. But you can't really do much about it at this point. The game's over. Rick Bowness decided to go with David Rittich, right? And it's not a decision that I think a lot of people agree with. But he went with Rittich, and we expect obviously Hellebuyck. I think everyone would be shocked if it isn't Hellebuyck on Tuesday night versus the Kings. Then you obviously expect there's a good chance that Rittich plays one of those games against Edmonton, but not necessarily, because Hellebuyck just played a couple of back-to-back games in New York, right? But yeah, the first goal, if you want to get into that right now, Dave, it's a good play by Bo Horvat, who's obviously, only been an Islander for a few weeks now, and he's having a career year in the goal-scoring department. But, I mean, he takes that puck in his own zone, skates it up the ice, and then was it Ehlers or was it Morrissey? I forget who was back. I don't have it up on my screen here. For some reason, my MacBook, as you know, Dave, keeps shutting off for absolutely no reason. But I'd have to pull it up. But whoever the Jet was defending, Horvat kind of uses him as a screen.
It was Morrissey, I think.
Yeah, it was Morrissey. So there you go. So it was still the shot, though, that David Rittich has to stop. What was that, 30 feet out? Something like that?
At least.
It was a long shot. Yeah. And Horvat's a sniper, but that's the type of shot that you have to make. A save that you have to make. So again, Riddick wasn't great tonight, but Riddick also wasn't the reason why the Jets lost. Like, point to whatever you want to point to. The shots were, I think, 10-1 in the first period,
12-1.
12-1 in the first period.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, the Jets only had 5 or 6 shots on net, right? So, I mean, the second period was better, but I mean, it's pretty easy to be better when you were god awful in the first period, right? So yes, David Riddick, 2 of those 3 goals were weak, Dave, especially the Horvat goal. But there's a lot of guys on this team that just have to be better, right? Like we talked about, Pierre-Luc Dubois was arguably the Jets' best forward. Kyle Connor, I mean, when the Jets had their power plays, he was ripping the puck. He was getting open, creating space for himself.
Mm-hmm.
I like Connor's game. Morrissey was good. But there were just too many players.
Ehlers was good.
Yeah, Ehlers was good, but there just wasn't enough players on the Jets who had an impact on this game. And last time I checked, you don't win a lot of games when you don't score any goals. So when you factor everything in here, Dave, the Jets had lost their previous 2 games, 4 of their last 5. Sunday afternoon game, a must-win game. You knew, that the Avalanche are rolling. You didn't want to fall into a wild card spot, and that's exactly where the Jets are now. So just overall disappointing effort. Everything about this game was just awful,
including Ezzy going too quickly for me to be able to even get in our intro or because of course this game recap is brought to you by our friends at Betway, because they are one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. You must be 19 years or older to play. Ezzy, always play responsibly. So, as Ez just said, so the Jets now find themselves, I mean, remember, there's an opportunity there, right? Just 7 minutes into the game, just a little bit more, whatever. And it's been a nothing game. You're being outshot. I think it was 4-0 or something like that. And then all of a sudden, as you just said, as Bo Horvat scores on a goal, really, David Riddick needs to stop, and you found yourself down. But the problem is, teams do this all the time. The Moose, and again, I don't want to make too much Moose reference, but like the fact of the matter is the Moose, I was talking about it with Nolan Baumgartner, the assistant coach, because he talked about how they had addressed the fact that they were giving up the first goal in games. They were still winning, but they were giving up the first goal, and how they were still reacting the right way. And that's the one thing with this Moose club that I've seen that I don't see with the Jets, is that when they give up a goal, like, sure, it sucks to give up a shorthanded goal that really your goaltender should have saved, but where is the pushback? Like, you have all these guys who want you to believe that they're elite. Kyle Connor, elite, in a lot of ways. I'm not talking about defensively, but offensively, a lot of these guys, Mark Scheifele, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Nikolai Ehlers, all of these guys can score. And it's not about, like, again, hockey's less than basketball in that it's more of a team game. So one guy can't really necessarily, except if your name's Connor McDavid, put the team on your back. But like, nobody rose to the occasion, right? Because it wasn't as if somehow they scored, you got punched, okay, bad goal by the goaltender, but you're gonna come in waves. You didn't do that. Instead, what ended up happening was the Islanders were the team that came out in waves. The Islanders were the team that continued to push towards your net. And again, you end that first 20 minutes being outshot 12-1 in a game that your coach, I mean, nobody's forcing Rick Bowness to tell the media, hey, these are must-win games. You got to tell the media this is a must-win game. I mean, you're the one who's putting the pressure on your team, and that's a coaching tactic, I would make the assumption is, but you're the one who's putting the pressure on your team. Hey, this is a game we have to win. Okay, but it's not about, and again, you don't always have to win a game. Sometimes you just have to win a period. And they didn't win that first period, which was probably after getting embarrassed by Colorado and really disappointing the fan base who are sitting there. And as you said, booing, not necessarily Connor Hellebuck, but booing when he made the save and booing the team. You had an opportunity to kind of, again, what do we always talk about as changing the narrative? And instead, you don't flip the script, and you have it. And again, don't get me wrong. The Islanders are a desperate team. The Islanders are in a dogfight right now for the playoffs. So they are desperate. They're, what they played like, Ezzy, for the first period at least? A team that is desperate to make and get 2 points.
Well, and the Islanders have been a team that's been chasing a playoff spot for them. Like, they're in a playoff spot now, but for the most part, they've been chasing a playoff spot, right? So they've been playing desperate hockey for a few months now. And, just going back to this goal here, I finally got my computer back and running, so I might be able to, switch through the old school way, Dave. But, just watching this again, like, you've got Scheifele out there, you've got Connor out there, 3 guys low, and then, again, Bo Horvat picks up the puck, and it's a 1-on-2 situation. And again, like top of the circle shot, not even at the top of the circle, 3 or 4 feet from the top of the circle. And we talked about Morrissey was the defenseman back. Like nothing wrong with the way Morrissey played this, but like, again, too lackadaisical. Like there's just too much. There's too many things. There's a lot of issues going on with this team right now, aside from scoring goals. Like it's generating offense. Like, yes, the Islanders were making it difficult for the Jets in the neutral zone, and they are a very good shot suppressing team, as John Liu asked Nikolai Ehlers about during the second intermission. Ehlers obviously wasn't happy with the question, but nobody should be happy on this team right now with the way that they're playing, right? Like, I agree with you, Dave. Putting up one shot in the first period in a game that you have to win on a Sunday afternoon, like people paid hard-earned money to watch this, and it's unacceptable. And the Jets really have to dig deep here, and they should have already dug deep, like going back to the Colorado game, but they're really going to have to find a way to beat a good Kings team, by the way, and get this going on the right track, because again, the Jets are in danger of missing the playoffs. I'm not saying they are going to miss the playoffs. I'm just saying that when you're in a wild card spot, and yes, the Jets don't have to worry about too many teams. It's really Calgary is the one team that's going to surpass them, because, Nashville's out of it. St. Louis is out of it. You talked about, Niederreiter. You don't make that trade if you believe that you're still going to make the playoffs, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing. You only put up one shot, and David Riddick just has to make that save. In a game in which your team is not playing very well, you got to make that save.
Yeah, and again, so the Jets find themselves down 1-0 after 20 minutes, crowd not happy. The only thing I will say is there's one positive, and again, I was joking on Twitter saying that if folks go back to the Iraq war, when the Iraqi information minister used to come up and be like, everything's great. Meanwhile, everything's, in flames behind him, but everything's fine. And I'd be like, that he'd be the only person to be able to try and find positives in this hockey game. There was one positive that I think merits mention, because I thought she was exceptional. The anthem singer. Yeah, she was. I didn't catch her name, but whoever that young person was, how old am I? I feel like I'm Mindell in his 70s.
We're definitely old.
But anyways, I want to give her credit, because she was exceptional. She did a real good job. I think she was 14 years old and singing both national anthems in front of over close to 14,000 people. So that was Reg Dunlop saying Baghdad Bob. There we go. There we got the name. But the fact is that she did a great job. All the kids did a great job. I thought in the first intermission, actually, as we head to the second period, as the first intermission, got to give Josh Morrissey credit, because nobody wants to do that walk-off interview and talk and credit Josh Morrissey, because
like literally last game there was no walk-off interview.
Yeah, that's right. And this game, 44 is the only guy who steps up. That's why you put the C on his chest, as I've been saying for a long time. But anyways, the point is he's the only guy who stepped up and did a good job, talking to and again, another next generation reporter. And so I thought that was a classy move by Josh Morrissey. But we're not here to give the Jets credit for the off-ice stuff. We're here to analyze the on-ice stuff. That's why we're doing the Betway game recap here, Ezzy, and getting into the second period. 4 minutes, 22 seconds in, shot from the point, Alexander Romanov, big blast. And you know what was curious about this, Ez, and I don't know if the Jets are allowed to do this, but the Islanders did a good job. They had guys in front of the net. They had guys screening David Rittich, taking away his eyes. And it was amazing, because just quickly before we get into the goal, it was interesting to me how when you watched the Islanders, they boxed out the Jets beautifully for the most part. They really did. They had 3 guys. They had a little triangle. They didn't allow anybody to get in front of Varlamov. Remember, it's not as if the Islanders started Sorokinez, right? They started their backup as well. And yet they managed to protect the net in a way that I didn't think the Jets did. And as a result, Jets found themselves down 2-0, 4:22 into the second period.
Yeah, and Varlamov, it wasn't too long ago that Varlamov was the number 1 goalie in Colorado, right? So
right.
Varlamov, he might be a backup, but he looked pretty good to me. And the Islanders, I mean, going back to the Jarro Halak days, I mean, they've always had 2 really good goaltenders, right? I mean, this team has always been built from the net out, right? Like they always seem to have solid goaltending, right? So, yeah, what stands out to me on this goal is that it's the Islanders' 4th line, Casey Cizikas, Matt Martin, Hudson Fasching, against the Jets' top line, or number 2 line, whatever you want to call the Scheifele line, right? So, I mean, it starts in the Jet zone. If they're at the end of a shift, And Casey Zizekas, he takes, I think it was Nate Schmidt. I've got it up here. So I think it was Nate Schmidt that he takes wide. So he's chasing a little bit, and then he gets the point shot back to Romanov, who's obviously a physical defenseman. I thought he was really noticeable tonight. And it's a point shot with traffic, right? And it's one of those shots where, it's a nicely placed shot, but Riddick either just doesn't have a read on it, or he's screened. But again, it's a fourth line goal against the Jets' top line, or one of the Jets' top two lines, right? So again, when you're looking for momentum, and the Jets obviously, didn't come out of that period, the way that you would like them to come out of that period. So again, it's just, at that point, you got the feeling that the Jets weren't going to, get back into this game again, Dave. Like, earlier in the season, the Jets go down a goal, 2 goals, 3 goals. You got the feeling that they could come back, right? And that's just not the case right now. They seem to be very fragile. So yeah, on that goal, Zizekas makes a nice play, and it's a nice shot from Romanov, but it's probably another shot that Riddick would like to have back. It was a savable shot.
Yeah, and again, you have the screen in front, and one thing the Jets consistently don't seem to be doing. There's a few things the Jets aren't consistently doing, including hitting the net with their own shots, but it's just another one. It's kind of a backbreaker, right? It kind of felt like, okay, if the Jets had any chance, well, that kind of killed it really. And it's crazy to think that with the team that they have, the firepower that they have, the way the Jets are playing right now, and other teams are tightening up. Now, look, we had Jeff O'Neill, who of course is a longtime NHLer, score, as you said, he's a 40-goal scorer. And what it was one of the things he talked about. He said, better that, now it feels like we talked to Jeff O'Neill like 8 weeks ago, but it was only like, 8 days ago, or 7, it was 8 days ago, I guess, but the fact is, he said that the time that you want to be slumping, you're in a slump, if you want to test your mettle, is right now. Now is the better time of the year to kind of let your team work out their kinks. But the Jets are now getting a little bit past that, quote, let's work out our kinks. And
they've been struggling since December.
That's right.
Like, they've been a 500 team for close to 30 games now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again,
but they've lost 10 of their last 16. Like, this is not just a little mini slump.
No, absolutely not. I mean, again, this is a team that is gonna backdoor their way into the playoffs, as opposed to the 17-18 team, right? And that's what we've talked about a lot, is that there's a lot of 18-19 here as opposed to 17-18. And again, 17-18 was a year Jets fans will long celebrate, but 18-19 not so much. So look, I mean, and you made the point earlier in the show, and I thought it was a good one, because I was thinking of it too. Approaching the midpoint of this game, again, let's go back and use this cliche word because it's not our word, but in the middle of a must-win game, you had a total of 4 shots at the 30, approximately. They had a little flurries where they went from like 4 to 6 or 7, but the reality was they'd only had 3 shots. Again, the pushback, the idea that you're going to push back, you're going to take over control of this game. But wait a second, you're not. What ends up happening is it's the Islanders who are continuing to push. It's not the Jets. It's not, and again, if you look at the analytics, the Jets were the, quote, they had the possession of the puck more often in the second and third periods than the Islanders did. But the Islanders also went into a bit of a shell and were defending, right? And they weren't going to take, a significant risk, but they were, let's use that word that Drew likes to use. They were opportunistic. And speaking of opportunistic, that's exactly how you could describe Brock Nelson on the third goal. Again, one I think that David Rich would like to have back, because he's, crossing, in the Jets zone, fires it on net, and suddenly now the Jets find themselves down 3-0. And the 3-0 as, I think my tweet from the Illegal Curve account was, and here come the pretzels, because you knew that at that point it was over.
I'm going to sign into my computer here, Dave. So once you let me in, I'll log off on my phone here. So this should work, because now I'm dealing with a couple problems. Now I only got 10% battery on my phone. So hold on. I'm going to add, hold on, enter. Yeah. And then.
Okay. Hold on. That's good. But now make sure you mute this one, Ezzy, because if you don't, we're going to hear it. We're going to pick it up. Hold on. We're adding Ezra Ginsburg. It's no longer a solo Dave Manuk experience. We got Ezzy back, sounding great and ready to discuss the third Islanders goal. That was I won't say the backbreaker, because it felt like the second one was the backbreaker, or maybe the first one was the backbreaker. But the third one, you knew, Ezzy, at that point it was done.
Yeah, I would say that the third one was the backbreaker, even though we kind of talked about it, right? The Romanov goal, kind of, put this game out of reach a little bit, the way the Islanders play defensively. So yeah, this goal, again, we kind of debated it, before we got into the recap. I think it's tough, Dave, when you have a goaltender who's going left to right, and then you have Nelson coming across, right? So it's, to me, it's a skilled goal. Like, that's a goal scorer's goal. Like
100%.
Nelson
100%.
knows.
Brad Marchand scored it last night against the Canucks. I happened to be watching a bit of that game. It's a beautiful. You're right. It's absolutely. It's a skill goal. I'm just thinking that Rittich. I agree. It is a skill goal though, for sure.
You can have a skilled goal, but also have a situation where a goalie has to stop it, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, look at how many saves Connor Hellebuck made against the Rangers that you probably would say that he shouldn't have made, right? So. Again, Brock Nelson makes a really nice play, pokes it away from Brendan Dillon. And what I like here, and this is an opportunity for me to talk about Zach Parise again, because as you know, Dave, Zach Parise is one of my favorite players of all time. A chip off of the old block of his dad, JP Parise, who I believe also played for Islanders, if I'm not mistaken. I know he played for the North Stars. Maybe somebody in the chat can help me out. JP Parise, for everybody who, didn't watch the 72 Summit Series, he's the guy who famously went up to the referee and fake swung his stick at the referee. So I grew up loving JP. Anyways, Zach Parise is one of my favorite players. But
4 years for the Islanders.
Pardon me?
3 or 4 years for the Islanders.
There you go. And North Stars too.
Yeah, just trying to help you out.
Yeah.
Did he play he played most of his career for the North Stars.
I thought it was those two.
I want to say like 8 years for the North Stars.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like, this is a nice play because he sacrifices. It's Neil Pionk. Sorry, Dylan and Pionk is obviously the Jets' D pair, and Pionk goes in, and I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, nice, Pionk stepping up with a nice hit there, and so Parise sacrifices for Brock Nelson there, and obviously, we just kind of mentioned it. Brock Nelson. It's Brendan Dillon who's defending against Nelson, and Dillon's a good defender, but he kind of cuts in, and it's like a toe drag into the center of the ice. And just a really nice shot, blocker side. So again, like, I don't know what to say here. Like, you could say that, it wasn't the best defending from Dillon, but Brock Nelson's a world-class player. He was an all-star, right? We talked about it. He won the accuracy, shooting contest. And he's not a guy that, you'll see in a lot of commercials. And he's not talked about as one of the top 10 players. I'll take Brock Nelson on my team. Look at his stats over his career. He's Mr. Consistent, right? Like, he seems to always have, 50 points or something like that, right? So it's a nice shot, but again, it's the killer. And in a game in which the Jets just weren't generating a lot of offense, you didn't get the feeling that, the Jets were going to come back from that.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Ezzy. And I think it's a backbreaker because the fans know, right? It's not like, again, for all people want to say about Winnipeg, there's an educated fan base, generally speaking, especially the Illegal Curve audience. Thank you, by the way, for everybody for joining us. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. I'm your host, Dave Manouk. I'm in the host chair, I should say, because I'm not your host, but I'm in the host chair. Dave Manouk. That's Ezzy Ginsberg. We're discussing the Jets' 4-0 loss. I hope I didn't ruin it while I'm doing the Betway game recap here, because we were only at the 3-0 point, but discussing the 4-0 loss by the Jets to the Islanders. So we want to thank everyone for spending your Sunday evening, Ezzy, 5:40. So your Sunday evening with us. Even if you're upset with the Jets.
I'll accept that. 5:30 is the beginning of the evening.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you're upset with the Jets, but look, Ezzy and I generally don't do post-game shows where the sunlight is still streaming into the house. That's a very unusual,
longer. March is coming.
a little bit unusual. But anyway, let's thank everyone for joining us, spending your Sunday with us. And remember, smash that like button, folks. Like us on Facebook. I've sent so many likes to people. Like me. I just want to be liked. So please just go on our Facebook, Illegal Curve. Give us a like and then share that content. That helps a little site called illegalcurve.com with all the latest Jets, Moose, Ice news. Someone in the chat I saw messaged us saying that the Ice were up 2-1, going for their 10th straight win. So the Ice, they're doing well, as the WHL team of Winnipeg. The AHL team of Winnipeg, the Manitoba Moose, they have points in 9 straight. They're 1 point back of second place right now of the Milwaukee Admirals, the team that just swept.
3 points back of first, right?
And only 3 points back of first, I believe, when they were playing the Texas Stars, although I think Texas was in action. So I didn't check to see the latest because, of course, there's only so much we can do. And apparently Brass Bonanza is saying there's a big curling game up tonight. I'm not up to date with what's going on with the curling.
Carrie Anderson versus Jennifer Jones, I believe. Yeah,
but unfortunately, I was kicked out of the West St. Paul Curling Club because I dropped a rock on the ice, my first time ever going when I was back in my Garden City collegiate days. And I never stepped foot on a curling rink ever again as a result of that incident. So anyway, so thank you
Don't let
again.
that discourage you, Dave. You can always, get back into it.
I was happy to be discouraged. I wasn't super dedicated to curling. Anywho,
We'll leave the curling coverage to Teddy Wyman.
that's true. My uncle is a very good curler. Always does well in the physician's bond spiel out in Edmonton.
Nice.
So shout out to my
Bond
uncle,
spiel,
and also
I like it.
shout out to my sister who's celebrating a birthday. So happy birthday to my sister Rachel.
Absolutely.
And,
Happy birthday, Rachel. We're the same age.
You are.
Yeah.
So anyways, Rachel, what's that? We don't mention her. Jazzy. Ooh, easy, Tiger. Come on.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, we are what we are. I mean,
Well,
don't be afraid of your age. You got to embrace it, man. 40
well, I mean,
30, Dave.
Of course. I mean, with the two of us, young bucks, doing a show with a guy in his 70s like Drew Mandel. I mean,
Exactly.
we do a service, but it also helps us with our tax benefits. We could write Drew off as
Drew was alive for the
geriatric.
1919 general strike.
Anyways, let's get back into the Betway game recap. Although there's not much to get into, the Jets tried hard, but not hard enough to really get much done in that third period. And the only goal scoring came from Adam Pellich, who scored into the empty net.
He's a great defenseman.
With 2:01.
Look at that group of defensemen.
Sure.
Ryan Pollock. We talked about Alex Romanov, but Ryan Pollock, Adam Pellich, Noah Dobson. Like, it's like I don't think if the Islanders end up playing the Bruins in the first round, I think we're all going to pick the Bruins, except if you're maybe an Islanders fan or you like to pick the upsets. I think the Islanders will give them for a run for their money, but now that Linus Ullmark is scoring goals, just kidding. But I mean, they're a good team. Like, that's a good group of defensemen, right? And they've now got Bo Horvat, Matt Barzal. We don't know exactly when he's going to be back. It's not going to be for at least a couple of weeks. But you don't have Barzal, you don't have JG Pajot. We talked about it. Those are two of your top three centers.
Exactly.
And you've just beat the Jets twice. So just wait till they get Barzal and Pajot back. I think they're going to be, a difficult team. They're not going to be an easy out in the first round if they make the playoffs, by the way. It's not a guarantee they make the playoffs.
Right.
But, I just give them credit because it's a good team. They're good goaltending, good defense, and they play hard. They work their asses off. Cizikas, Martin, those guys. Clutterbuck's out of the lineup right now. He's the usual guy on the fourth line.
It's your favorite fourth line in hockey.
Well, is it not one of the best fourth lines? Like, look at what they did tonight. Cizikas, he got the assist on the Romanov goal.
Yeah.
They had an impact. Like they usually do. They work hard.
They put their work boots on.
They're good players. They're good fourth line guys.
Yeah.
Hudson Fasching is the guy that's on that line now.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Ezzy. I think that's the whole point, is that they add. They're not just there to grind it up. They can contribute in a variety of different ways, and they've been doing it consistently for years. And that's, again, something that the Jets don't have because they don't have the depth. So
There's
right now,
the reason why it's called the identity line, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so the Jets, as we just discussed, now end up on the wrong side of a 4-0 loss to the New York Islanders. And as you've said, now the home stand 6 of 8, and we talked about how good the Jets have been, here in Winnipeg throughout the course of the season. But now you got 6 of your, well, you had coming into it 6 of 7, at home. You've lost the first 2, and now the next must-win game, Ezzy, against the LA Kings on Tuesday. So it's not a great situation for Winnipeg. It's not a great situation for the fans. The fan bases are disappointed. And look, the trade deadline and all the stuff that's happening is some reason to get excited. And folks are still animated, and there's still a lot of action. IllegalCurve.com is buzzing. I have to thank everyone for coming every day and reading the website. I appreciate that support. Make sure you support our sponsors while you're down there. We always appreciate that.
Chevy couldn't have finalized that trade a few hours earlier, right? When did that trade happen? Around like 3 p.m?
It was the second period of the Moose game, and I was just like, I'm all of a sudden, like, me and Connor are just sitting there and just like looking at each other in the press box. I'm like, better get on it.
Kyle Connor.
No. I can't pronounce Connor's last name. I should have asked him how you pronounce his last name, but I don't want to butcher it. So I'll ask him the next Moose game, which is this coming Friday, and then maybe I'll be able to pronounce it properly.
Connor from the Hockey Writers, right?
Connor from the Hockey Writers. That's right.
Harabchak? Connor Harabchak? You don't have to mute yourself there, Dave.
I was gonna respond to your message and say yes if you'd like to go.
Maybe Connor's watching, or he'll send us a message how to pronounce his name. But I think it's safe to say it's Harabchak.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Right.
It does. So that's when it would have been fun to have that happen. But Ezzy, we can't complain. We had Patrick Laine traded during the Illegal Curve hockey show.
Oh yeah. Chevy loves making moves on Saturdays.
Yeah. So we don't complain about that, because we had the biggest trade in Jets 2.0 history happen on our watch, and we were live on air. So that was
20 minutes after Sarah's hair appointment.
That's right. Exactly. So we had a lot of fun with that. It was a lot of excitement.
Dregs popped on. Dregs is like, I got to go on the Illegal Curve hockey show right now.
Yeah. He goes, here's an
I got to
opportunity.
talk about it with my boys.
Yeah. And then he's like, how did you get this number when we called him? It was very unusual, actually. Yeah. Anyways, we will head to a break as soon as I pull up the post-game show commercials. No outtakes, although folks could use a laugh after the Jets lost 4-0. You are listening to the Illegal Curve post-game show. We will be heading to commercial break, and then after we'll have more to talk about, some uplifting things, maybe the trade deadline, the trade the Jets made yesterday, the Moose comeback win yesterday, Mike Malot's big fight in UFC, lots to talk about. Stay tuned for these messages from our fine sponsors.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends, or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
There's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the illegal curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com.
Welcome back. Sorry, there I go. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve postgame show. I am in the host chair, Dave Manouk. He is my main man, Ezzy Ginsberg, and we were discussing, Ezzy, the 4-0 loss by the Jets to the New York Islanders, a loss that has dropped the Jets out of second spot in the Central Division into the first wild card spot. And we'll, of course, have folks watching the Seattle Kraken, who are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs at home tonight, because if Seattle wins tonight, they'll pop the Jets into the second wildcard spot, which is obviously, Ezzy, not a place they want to be. Just before we get going on some other things, some comments from Rick Bowness after the game. What did he say? He said, didn't seem, courtesy of our friend Scott Billick, said Rick Bowness didn't seem confident with some of the answers he was giving to reporters after the game, almost as if he was shying away from being too critical now. That says something. That's from Scotty Billick. There was something about Connor Hellebuck about being booed, but no, hold on. Never mind. Anyways, the point is, as the conversation coming out of Jetsland, as former Jets coach Claude Noel used to say, Ezzy, there's not a lot of joy in Joyland. And that, I think, seems appropriate for how things are going right now with the Winnipeg Jets.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think they're going to have to, talk about, anything else. But right now, of course, our attention turns to the trades and what's happening, because we are 5 days away from the trade deadline. And of course, there's a big trade today. The New Jersey Devils, long rumored to be your New Jersey Devils, Ezra, long rumored to be the front runners for Timo Meier, were in fact the winners of the Timo Meier sweepstakes. Apparently, the Carolina Hurricanes were told last night that they were out by the San Jose Sharks, and it was down to Vegas and New Jersey. So New Jersey took him, ended up winning the sweepstakes. All I saw so far was that it was did you hear what the full trade was?
Well, I was honestly thinking Dawson Mercer might be a part of it. He's the pride of Newfoundland, 2020 first rounder. He's having a great season, 19 goals.
Yeah.
So I thought Dawson Mercer might be involved. But honestly, Dave, I haven't seen. I saw Pierre LeBrun's tweet, and I haven't seen the return yet.
Well, no, and I don't think anybody has. All I heard was that there was a little bit of retention for the Sharks on the salary. Obviously, the Devils probably want to do a little.
There's no extension, apparently,
and no extension in place. Right? That's true. Yeah, so maybe not Mercer, because I know Devils fans were losing their mind at the thought of losing him. But anyways, let's focus on the Jets, because of course the Jets focused show, and the Jets did make a trade. Nino Niederreiter came through. Elliot Friedman broke that news yesterday afternoon, and it was ironic that I'm sitting there in Canada Life watching the Moose and Admirals play, because of course the trade was done between Winnipeg and Nashville. Their two farm clubs were playing. So as the second period ended and the second period ended, you're thinking, is there going to be a piece? Is someone going to come off of the roster, Ezzy? And people are joking. Are they going to take the Moose jersey off and put on an Admirals jersey? We know that's obviously not possible, but there was some thought that maybe a player off the Moose could end up going to flying home with Milwaukee. But of course, we find out the return was just a second round pick, which seems like an excellent, thing for Kevin Cheveldayoff and his group to only give up a second for a talented player like Nino Niederreiter. So, what were your thoughts when you heard the news about this big trade for Winnipeg? Well,
first off, when I heard it, I was thinking, I wish that trade would have been made, as I mentioned earlier, when we were on air from 9 a.m. to 11:05. But I love the player, right? Like, if you actually go back, I don't know if you remember this or people watching, if you go back to the summer, he was one of the guys that I was hoping the Jets would sign, Nino Niederreiter. The other guy was Mason Marchment, as you know, Dave. Marchment, obviously, it's terrible news with his dad, but his dad was an excellent defenseman for the Jets and other teams. And Mason Marchment, his son, is now a really good player. So Marchment and Niederreiter were two guys that I had circled that I was hoping the Jets could acquire. And it turns out that, Chevy is a guy that, probably wanted to sign Niederreiter in the offseason. Let's get into the return first. I think the return is amazing. not a roster player, only a second-round pick, and it's a 2024 second-round pick, which obviously isn't going to be as deep of a draft as this year's draft. So I think, David Poile didn't get enough in return for his asset, right? Considering that Niederreiter's got 1 year left at a very manageable $4 million a year. So I love what Chevy gave up, because I don't think it was that much for a guy who, can score 20 plus goals, right? He's done that 5 or 6 times. So love the acquisition because he makes your top 6 better. We all know the Jets are struggling to score goals. Niederreiter scores goals. He's an efficient player. He's a shooter, doesn't like to pass. He likes to play with guys that set him up. So I'm not sure if Niederreiter is going to play on the Pierre-Luc Dubois line, Dave, or if he's going to end up playing on the Scheifele line. That's obviously for Rick Bowness and Scott Arneal to figure out, right? And, the rest of the coaching staff. But yeah, it's a really good move. And, I think, a lot of Jets fans saw that move and, they were pretty happy with it, pleasantly surprised. As we talked about on yesterday morning show, I personally didn't think that Timo Meier was realistic for the Jets just because the Devils and the Hurricanes, as Pierre LeBrun confirmed, were the front runners, right? So, Niederreiter, he's kind of Timo Meier light, if you think about it, right?
Yeah,
He's not as dominant as Timo Meier, but Niederreiter is a big boy, and he can play. He can shoot the puck, good skater. He's an agitating type of player, and I like that as well because I think the Jets don't have enough of those guys, that can agitate. Like Pierre-Luc Dubois is a guy that can agitate. Adam Lowry, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, Stenlund, like they have a few guys, but not with the goal scoring pedigree. The fourth line guys I'm talking about don't have the goal scoring pedigree as Nino Niederreiter. So it's a good move, and especially considering you don't have to give up not only a roster player but a prospect. So I think this is a really good move for the Jets, and I do expect Chevy to make more moves. I think at least one more forward is probably coming over to Winnipeg, and I imagine Chevy is trying to acquire a top 4 defenseman, probably on the right side.
Yeah, and his 18 goals puts him 4th on the Jets in terms of goal scoring right now. So and that's something we've said that the Jets need to do. Speaking of goal scoring, as current goalless streaks right now for the Winnipeg Jets: Adam Lowry 32, Saku Manalainen 20, Morgan Barron 17, Kevin Stenlund 11, Carson Kuhlman, who of course didn't play, 10. You've got no goal.
His last goal was a game winner.
Yeah. So,
the ones that concern me there, Dave, are Lowry and Barron.
Well, for sure.
Right? Like Saku Manalainen and Kevin Stenlund, these are guys that, were over in Europe. They were signed, found money, right? Like less than $1 million a year each for those guys. Yeah. You expected, one of those guys to start in the AHL, and Stenlund did start in the AHL. And Stenlund's a good guy, can play center or wing, a good face-off guy. And Saku Manalainen, I just think, aside from penalty killing, he just doesn't do enough. So I think, if the Jets do acquire another forward for their 3rd or 4th line, Saku Manalainen is probably one of the guys that I expect to be the odd man out, right? Along with Carson Kuhlman. But that's why the Jets need to acquire another forward, just because, we're not talking about a 5-game goal scoring, slump here. We're talking about 15, 20, 25 games here in the bottom 6 for some of these guys, right? So all due respect to Saku Manalainen, I think, he's been a nice story coming back to the NHL from Europe, but he's not getting the job done.
Well, and getting back to this trade, I think one of the critical pieces that, I was, whenever you're reading the analysis, and there's a lot of analysis, and coincidentally, there's a little website called illegalcurve.com which has links to all of the reactions to this trade for the Winnipeg Jets and how it impacts them. Interesting news out of Nashville. Speaking of Nashville, quickly touch on the fact that David Poile, the only general manager that franchise is known for, 25 years now, Ezzy? The only general manager.
I think 1998 was when they came into the league.
Yeah, so 25 years, right? And so you've got a situation where David Poile is going to retire at the end of this season, go out, on top. I should say go out on his own terms. Sorry, that's probably a better way of saying it. And he'll be replaced by Dauphin Manitoba's Barry Trotz. So Barry Trotz, who's been kind of advising David Poile and the Nashville Predators, I think, has a home in Nashville. He's going to stick around and, be a part of that franchise. Not a huge surprise given his ties, his long ties as the head coach of that club. But he'll be there, and David Poile will stay on as a consultant, which means he'll receive a paycheck. Who knows exactly what he'll do after the fact, but I'm sure he'll be there to help Barry Trotz in anything he needs. But Sorry,
Provide some clarity though on why Barry Trotz decided. I mean, it could be other reasons as well, but kind of provide some clarity on why Barry Trotz ultimately decided not to be the head coach of the Jets, because we know that Chevy and Mark Chipman, like, they were ready to give Barry Trotz whatever money he was going to get, right, which was going to be several $1 million. So this makes a little bit of sense, because you have to think that this decision for David Poile to step back as general manager, they didn't just come up with this a week ago.
Right. Oh no,
right?
for
Like,
sure.
This is something they've been talking about for months, if not a year or two, right? So unfortunate that it means that, Barry Trotz isn't going to be the head coach of the Jets at some point, but luckily, Rick Bowness is here for the foreseeable future, right? So it's hard to believe though, Dave, that this news wasn't bigger, around here, just because of, the trade and, how poorly the Jets have been playing, and, Timo Meyer signing being traded to New Jersey, right? Like, this is a huge bomb coming out of Nashville. So I mean, a little bit surprising, but I think more surprising considering that he just made a trade with Chevy, right? Like, he just
I know.
He just traded Niederreiter for a second round pick. So you can make it all the jokes you want, but Poile, I mean, when you talk about the greatest GMs of the last would we say 25 to 30 years, Poile is right up there. He's always had this team in the playoffs. They won the President's Trophy that year that the Jets beat them in the second round, and Poile's a class act. We had him on a couple times in the TSN 1290 days. So he's a class act and a guy that has done such a good job with that Nashville team since they came into the league.
Well, he did the Jets a solid by only requiring a second rounder in 2024. Of course, the Jets didn't have their 2023 second rounder that was sent to, I believe, Washington as part of the Brendan Dillon trade. So the Jets, again, don't give up any players from the Jets, from the Moose. They only owe a prospect. They only have to give up a futures prospect, but not one that's currently in the organization. And as you know, one of the things that Nino Niederreiter does, and that's what I was going to get to before I segued myself to talking about Barry Trotz and David Poile. But I thought, what is one of the things he does? He shoots.
Drives the net as well.
Drives the nets and shoots. And it's what is one of the things the Jets are absolutely desperate to have right now. And look, I understand people are saying one player isn't going to fix the Jets. Fine. I would agree
help,
with you.
That, that's the thing. It'll help.
But
it'll improve their top six, especially with Perfetti out of the lineup.
That's right. And what he'll do is he's big, he's an agitator, and he will shoot. And it's funny because I don't remember who did it. I was looking for it earlier today, but someone was like, likes, shooting, dislikes, passing, or something like that. And I thought to myself, well, he's perfect for this team because everybody on this team wants to pass.
But he really is a pure shooter, right? Like in contrast to, guys that we talk about a lot here in Winnipeg, Kyle Connor, Nick Ehlers, like not like that type of player. He is a guy that likes to shoot first. Not to say that he never passes. That's not what we're saying here. But
no, of course not.
He is a pure sniper for sure.
And again, just to think about what that can bring that to the mix, right? And the Jets need goal scoring. So I mean, I think this is the only move that Kevin Cheveldayoff and his group are making. No, but I mean, you have to give them credit when they do. I mean, we can pillory them when they don't do something, or if we disagree with the decision that they make. But at the same time, when they I mean, this was a bit of an off the board. I mean, unless Kevin Cheveldayoff happened to be listening to you in the summer, Ezzy, and that's why he went with the way he went. But the fact is that Nino Niederreiter wasn't someone that was on the trade list. It's very Paul Stastny-esque in terms of the acquisition, because it was like an off the board. I read this stuff every day.
He's going to have the same impact as Stastny.
I'm not suggesting he will. Although, I mean, again, and the other thing that the Jets like about him for sure is the fact that he comes with term, right? He comes with one more year. And the truth is, if this all goes south, at the end of the day, you're going to tell me next year you can't trade him for an asset back. If this doesn't work out for the Winnipeg Jets next season, then you can always trade him, right? I think
he's a guy that you're going to want to keep around, but your point is,
I'm not suggesting other way.
You can actually move him, but I think he's a guy, that you'll want to keep and possibly sign, right? He's 30 years old, right? Like, so he's got a lot of good hockey left in him. This isn't a guy that's, in the last year of his career or second last year of his career. But you're right, Dave. I mean, he is a guy that if next year you're out of the playoffs by March or whatever, you can always recoup a second round pick. You could obviously recoup the second round pick by trading other players as well, right? But no, I think, don't take our word for it. I mean, you look at The Athletic, right? Obviously, we're big fans of The Athletic.
Yep.
Dom Lucian, I think it was Sean Gentile.
Yeah.
they both gave the Jets an A for that trade, right? So it's not just like, we're not just, here, blowing smoke, pumping tires. I mean, this is widely considered across the league a really positive move for the Jets, and some good work by Chevy, only having to give up a 2024 second round pick to get a guy who he's going to score goals. That's what he does.
And that's what the Jets need, because as we've been detailing on this post-game show, on the post-game shows for the last little while, goals are not easy to come by, especially 5-on-5 goals, Ezzy. So it's one thing that the Jets are going to need. And look, do we think Kevin Cheveldayoff is done? No, because remember, if Kevin Cheveldayoff is done, generally what ends up happening is he speaks. We have a little conversation with him, and apparently he's not speaking till Friday. I think our friend Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press tweeted that out. So you don't anticipate that it's done here. And again, we've talked about it. Do the Jets need to shore up the right side of their D? Yeah, they do. Do the Jets need to add some more depth to this forward group? They absolutely do. They absolutely do. I mean, look, you can't hear me read you that list of guys who have gone without scoring a goal, starting with Adam Lowry. And I've long said I like Adam Lowry for his role, but he's a fourth line center on a really good team. He's a third line center on the Jets, but he doesn't produce enough offensively. And you can say he hasn't had consistent or stable line mates, and I would agree with that. Obviously, you'd have to go back all the way to the TLC line, Ezzy, before you could really think about when Adam Lowry had a consistent group around him. But the fact is, a third line center has to produce. And when you haven't scored in 32
offensively, obviously, is what
that's what, of course.
Because Lowry's great defensively and good on the penalty kill. But yeah, you're right, Dave. And you documented it, right? You talked about Mamalainen's not scoring right now. Stenlund's not scoring now. Barron, Lowry. I mean, guys in the top 6 aren't scoring right now. It's not like Blake Wheeler is exactly lighting the lamp on a regular basis, right? So, the Jets need an infusion of some more talent, and I think Chevy is going to give them that. I wouldn't be surprised if he acquires 2 more forwards and a defenseman. I really think that Chevy is going to make several more moves, not just one.
Well, let us know in the chat what kind of moves you think the Jets should be making, and the chat's fired up. We got a nice little bounce back, as when I tweeted out that we were talking trades. We got a lot of people back in the conversation, and that's what we always love here on the Illegal Curve postgame show, or the Illegal Curve hockey show, is when folks join us and you guys are part of the conversation. Although I think I just saw some interesting breaking news, but the chat is flowing right now, so I missed it. But I think Bailey just said, the intern, hopefully she had it. Bailey, speaking of Bailey. Oh, and it was Bailey saying, hold on, let's get it up there. Predators are scratching Tanner Jeannot for trade-related reasons, Ezzy. Wow, wouldn't he look good with the Winnipeg Jets?
And that's just, I mean, I don't know if they're going to trade another guy to the Jets. I mean, we talked about Matthias Ekholm yesterday. I mean, I would love to see Ekholm.
We need you to do me another solid. Can you give me one of your guys?
Yeah, I mean, it could happen, I guess. So is Barry Trotz making these moves, or is David Poile making these moves? I'm not sure, but Tanner Jeannot's a great player. Was he a runner-up for the Calder, or even a finalist? I don't know, but he had a great rookie year last year. Yeah, he's a guy that can, drop the mitts and everything like that, right? So yeah, Jeannot would be great, but that's what I would expect. I would expect Chevy to go out, and he's probably going to try to get 2 veteran guys that can play in your bottom 6, and preferably both guys that can chip in offensively and have some Stanley Cup playoff experience. That's something we didn't mention. Niederreiter has, I think, 80 games of playoff experience. Mm-hmm. And that's huge, right? You have other guys on the Jets who have playoff experience, but I mean, I like that fact about Niederreiter. With both the Wild and the Predators, he's played. Not the Predators. He hasn't played in the playoffs for the Predators. The Wild. So I like that about him as well. But yeah, Tanner Jeannot. We've gone over players like Nick Schmaltz is another guy. Yeah, I'm not sure if because they've acquired Niederreiter. Nick Schmaltz is out of it, but the Jets do have cap space right now, right, Dave? I'm not sure exactly how many millions, 4 million? I think
around 4 million.
Yeah, something like that. So, I mean, the Jets do have cap space. James Van Riemsdyk's name is out there. Yeah. We talked about some defensemen, it's hard to know right now if, Jacob Chychrun is a guy that the Jets are in on, or Vladislav Gavrikov. There's some names out there. Luke Shen would be a guy.
Don Zappy is going with one of your guys that you've been suggesting for a while.
Well, Brock Besser, but again, that would be a top 6 guy. So, Niederreiter, I don't know if, Brock Besser's a right winger, right? So I don't know if Niederreiter.
Well, Blake Wheeler moving to the third line alongside Adam Lowry.
Sure. Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, think about that. Wheeler feeding Lowry and Barron. Maybe now you have a little more offense coming from your third line and your first and second. I mean, to me, that's a lot more balance, right? To give the Jets like a top 9 that can score. And that's what we've talked about for a long time for this Jets club, is it can't be just those top 2 lines and the occasional goal from lines, 2, 3, and 4, because it's just not gonna be sufficient to get things done.
And that's why we think more moves are coming, right? And they're not going to just be, Jay Harrison, Lee Stempniak, and all due respect to those types of guys, right? Like, or Jordy Ben, like who I think
could have had on waivers yesterday
that year. Yeah. So, I mean, they're going to be significant moves. Again, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Patrick Kane, and I don't think it's going to be Jacob Chychrun personally, but you never know. Maybe, Chevy is going big game hunting, especially, with another loss here. But we do expect several trades to happen, and the Jets need it. I mean, the Jets are in a big time slump, and they need an infusion of goal scoring talent. Well,
we will be on top of any and all trades that happen for the Winnipeg Jets on a little site called illegalcurve.com. And of course, if they happen live on an Illegal Curve postgame show or during the Illegal Curve hockey show, well, that would be miraculous if they happened on the Illegal Curve hockey show, because that'd be after the trade deadline. So you could make it, but the guy wouldn't be eligible to play in the playoffs. So I'm not sure why you would end up doing it, but you can technically still make trades after the trade deadline. The players are just ineligible to play in the playoffs. But as we just finished.
By the way, Matthew Thompson saying Harrison wasn't a trade deadline acquisition, but it was close to the trade deadline, was it not?
That was they got Jay Harrison as part of the Andrew Ladd trade. Did they not? When they traded,
wasn't that part of the close to the trade deadline, or no? Maybe I'm wrong with that.
I don't remember.
I thought it was honestly, like a week before the trade deadline.
I'd have to look it up.
But regardless, all I was trying to say is that I think that Chevy's going to acquire someone better than a depth defenseman.
Yeah, and again, as you just said, as you were, the Jets are mired in a losing streak. They're not feeling good about themselves. But there is one team in Manitoba, one pro team in Manitoba that feels great about themselves. They really do. You know why?
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Manitoba Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Sorry, what did Matthew Thompson say?
Oh, no, Matthew Thompson was just saying that it was in December when there were a lot of injuries for Jay Harrison. That was probably back in 2015 or something like that, right?
So okay. Yeah.
But I was just trying to make a point. But yeah, Matthew Thompson is right. You're right.
All right. Well, we appreciate that, Matthew Thompson. But now we're talking.
You're right. When you're wrong, you're wrong.
Good point by Big. See, Ezzy is always willing to accept responsibility for his words. And let's talk about
when you make as many mistakes as I've made in my life, Dave, you have to be prepared to own them.
That's fair. The Moose back in action yesterday, continuing their 8-game homestand against their big rivals, the Milwaukee Admirals, who they played 17 times last year, 12 in the regular season, 5 in the playoffs. And they were up against Milwaukee, who they were chasing coming into that game, down 3 points. Both teams were on win streaks going into the previous game when the Moose won. The Moose came out handily in that game, outshooting them at one point, 24-4. It's kind of like today's Jets game, but in reverse. The only changes in the lineup were, unfortunately for T. Conapoli, Tyrell Bauer, who the Jets prospect, 2020 6th rounder, 7th rounder, as I can't remember. But he had a goal in the previous game, but he was out. In came the 2020 2nd rounder, Simon Lundmark, and Oskari Salminen had the net in place of Arvid Holm. Still no Alex Limoges, although I'm told he is a possibility, the Moose leading scorer for next week's concluding series.
Tyrell Bauer was a 6th rounder.
Yeah, 6th rounder. Okay. He is a possibility for the concluding set against the Chicago Wolves next weekend. The Moose got things started with the military appreciation jerseys, which were paying homage to the 100th anniversary.
Dave, I saw your tweet. The Moose always nail those specialty jerseys.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, hold on. I don't want to butcher it. There's a 100th anniversary of the HMCS Chippewa. And apparently Mark Morrison, the head coach of the Moose, told the players a little bit of the history there, but the jerseys were incredible. This real nice. We've got them on the Illegal Curve Instagram. Go check it out. Give us a like over there and maybe give us a follow just to ensure that, we got some support for our good guy, Colby Spence, who was taking great pictures today. Not a lot of good pictures for Colby. I always feel bad in these kind of games for him, but he still manages to take some great pictures for us at these Jets games, even the ones where they lose. But ultimately the Moose found themselves, again, similar to what we talk about with the Jets, down 1-0. But the difference with this team is that they tend not to break when they give up a goal. There's no real sag to their game. Top line, Jansen Harkins gets the puck from Jeff Malott. He feathers a pass over to Dominic Tonnato to tie the game 1-1. That was Tonnato's 12th goal of the season. And, just to quickly aside, as I love the people who say, Jansen Harkins couldn't score, blah, blah, blah. Like, again, it's all opportunity, folks, right? If you gave a guy a consistent opportunity, and look at Mikey Esimont as an example, what he's doing in San Jose. I'm not saying he's dominating, but Mikey Esimont's contributing, right? And that's what
why
you
I said
need.
that yesterday, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut off. This is your Manuk Moose minute, but
no, it's a
Manuk
Moose.
Yesterday, I said, like, who else would be called up? Like, I would assume Jansen Harkins and Jeff Malott would be at the top of that list because Alex Limoges is injured, but I think Alex Limoges might be a guy who's in consideration, but that's why I suggested it, Dave. So I agree with you about Jansen Harkins. Like, give him a shot back with the Jets.
Well, the guy has produced. That's all he's continued to do, and he's playing every role. And again, like I said, I'm just saying that you don't have guys who are scoring. It's not like Kevin Stenlund is doing something that you're like, well, he can't be taken out of the lineup. I mean, how many people in the chat, if you don't orchestrate a trade, all I'm suggesting is sometimes a swap.
Face-offs, because they have other guys that can kill penalties.
That's my point. And Harkins can kill penalties. He's doing it in the AHL. So, I mean, I'm just saying you can get Jeff Malott in there. You can do something to maybe change the mix up a little bit because it's stale. It's stagnant. And look, did I not read you out a list of how long these guys have gone without scoring a goal?
It's as stale as the bread in my cupboard right now.
My point is that these guys are producing at the AHL level. Even Toninato is producing. Harkins is producing. Malott is getting going. Reichel is producing. He was on a hot streak. So you have guys, you have options. And you said it. What has anybody done? And the chat has definitely said it because I was reading the chat, but they've said it. A lot of these guys are like, well, what are you protecting? Like, is Carson Kuhlman or Saku Manalainen, is their defensive ability so significant that you can't lose them? I don't think so. We talked to Garrett yesterday, and we learned that it's really not. So the reality is that I'm just saying, if you need a little jump and you don't have a trade orchestrated, you might want to give a guy who's feeling good. I mean, to be honest with you, it's like Axel Jonsson-Fjällby. I mean, even when they called him up, and then you're like, okay, are they going to put him in? Because he was feeling good about his game, right? He came down to the Moose, had a lot of goals. Anyways, we'll go back to the game because I don't want to rag too much on that. But the Moose tied the game 1-1, and then Evan Polai breaks his goalless streak. The Water Buffalo, he finished off a beautiful pass from Greg Morales to make it a 2-1 game for the home team. Of course, as I said to you earlier in the show, as the air was sucked out of the building, or at least in the press box, because as soon as that second period hit and the Niederreiter trade took place, that's when the focus became about that. But luckily for us, nothing really happened in the rest of the second period. Moose went into the intermission up 2-1. The Admirals, however, came out a little bit on fire, wanting to earn themselves a split with the Moose. So they scored a power play goal in the Moose, very top 5 power play, top 5 penalty kill. Again, isn't it funny how these teams that are supposed to be running the same systems, one team is doing exceptional, the other team not as much. But anyways, that's a digression from me. Moose give up a penalty kill, a power play goal, and then they give up an even strength goal. So now they're down 3-2. Had a couple of good chances. Jeff Malott, who I mentioned, Dominic Toninato, who I mentioned, both had chances to tie the game. Sure enough, Cole Meyer, with about 3 minutes to go in the game, he rips home a shot, the alternate captain for the Moose, and makes it a 3-3 game. And of course, the fans go nuts. And you're like, well, why are the fans going nuts? The fans went nuts because they tied the game, but I think they went nuts because they all want free pancakes. And who doesn't want to win free pancakes, which I asked Cole Meyer about after the game. Sure enough, 3-3. And then it goes to OT, and OT's a lot of fun. And Jeff Malott, whose brother Mike was, like I said, fighting in UFC 70. I'm not an an MMA guy, but his older brother Mike, and a lot of the players were excited to watch because his match was about 40 minutes after the game ended. So they were all like, let's get through this. Let's get through this.
Do we know if he won?
Yeah, he won. He did win.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it was a big night for the Malott brothers, but Jeff came in, recognized the puck, grabbed it in the neutral zone, kind of had a partial break, fires a shot on Yaroslav Askarov, again, the Nashville goalie of the future, right now obviously playing for the Admirals. He was excellent again, second straight game. He makes the initial save, and then Declan Chisholm, the 2018 fifth rounder, who is an exceptionally skating forward, and I've talked about him ad nauseum. He puts home the goal to win the game on Bailey's birthday, right in front of Bailey. So awesome. Bailey got to go to the autograph alley after the game. She had her Winnipeg Sports Talk hat there with her, so she got that signed. Tyrell Bauer, speaking of that, T. Conapoli.
Yesterday was Bailey's day. Like nobody else's day. That was Bailey's day.
She had a legal curve wishing her and seeing her happy birthday. She went to the Moose game. She met the players. The Moose got a win for her in overtime, and then they signed her hat. So Bailey had, and then I think Bailey, I saw in the chat, said something along the lines of she got to have some Smarties ice cream as well after dinner.
Whoa.
So
wow.
Yeah. She went with the old Patrick
That's
Laine
even
favorite.
better than the OT winner.
Exactly. So, and apparently Declan Chisholm is her favorite player. So he ended up with the OT winner, a beauty to make it a Moose win. They improved to 29, 16, 3-3 on the season. It's a 9-game point streak as 7-0, 1-1. Wow. They remain in third place.
Talk about rolling, eh? Like, wow.
I know. I'm telling you, like, it's amazing when you go to the Moose games. It's such a different atmosphere from the Jets games. There's really, this team is an interesting team to follow and cover. And again, all the coverage for the Moose on a little site called illegalcurve.com. If you want to join me there, or you can follow me on IC Dave. I, of course, tweet out all of the Moose stuff that's happening, so you can follow me there. Whew, that was a long Manuk Moose minute, Ezzy. Although quickly, I will say, and tomorrow is the backyard rink, a lucky family in Winnipeg. We'll be having some Moose players skate there. Of course, we'll have that covered on our Instagram, on our social media, so stay tuned for that. And then the Moose will get ready for their final homestand against Chicago Wolves. Tickets for that will be available. We'll give those away either Tuesday or during the Thursday show as. And that's your Manuk Moose minute. Although we're gonna have to change that name, Ezzy, because it's going a little longer than minute these days. Okay, let's quickly get to the contest. Let's go for the contest. That's the Illegal Curve merch contest, Ez. We'll get to that, and then we'll get to the Tough Duck winner. The winner of the Illegal Curve contest, that's the merch contest. You know how to enter. The links are in the description below. They're always on the website, illegalcurve.com, in the pregame report, in the morning papers when there's a game day. Just enter. There's lots of different ways you can enter. You can just put your name in one time and you can enter and try and win. That's my dad's philosophy. You don't need 10,000 tickets, or you can go with Alan Lasco's philosophy. Get as many entries as you can and hope you win. And Alan did.
It's like they say in poker, right? All you need is a chip in a chair.
A chip in a chair. Well, some people win with a chip in a chair. Some people win with 1,000 chips and maybe just one chair. And that's how a number of our winners have won.
When it comes to me, I don't ever win in poker. So, but
you do like chips, Ezzy. You do like chips. So you chips. Do. You're a big,
Lay's, Old Dutch.
You're a big chip guy. And the winner of the Illegal Curve merch contest is, well, I don't know his actual name, but I know his nickname. His nickname is D-Train.
Amazing.
So I knew you'd like that. So D-Train is the big winner. Congrats, D-Train. You'll be hearing from me to get you your merch. I am a little behind, although I'm getting caught up. Phyllis, of course, got her gear. Lisa, I don't know if she got her gear yet. A couple other people got their gear this week, so don't worry. Although I was funny because I was telling everyone, don't worry, folks, I'm going to get your gear this week. And then I'm like, oh man, it's trade deadline. There's no chance I'm going to be getting gear. So most likely I'll be getting some gear mailed out. But
we'll
most
do what
of you
we can, right?
We'll do what we can. Thank you, Ezzy. That's a good way of putting it. And whatever we can't get done, we'll get it done the week after when life becomes a little bit normal and I don't have to be sitting there looking at my phone every 2 seconds thinking, what's happening? Let's get the website updated. Now, to win the next Illegal Curve merch contest, you have to enter you don't have to, but a good chance to get some bonus, to get 10 bonus points, Ezzy, is by entering the unique code word. And the unique code word for today's show is El Nino. Because I liked how you said that, and there's a lot of good jokes with Nino Niederreiter's name. So I thought maybe
it's the Def Squad album.
There you go. Well, there's a lot of different.
I need your full cooperation, your total attention. People who understand hip hop will get that. Who are the three guys in Def Squad, Dave?
Oh,
I'll give you one. Redman,
Method Man, Redman, and
no, not Method Man. He's in Wu-Tang.
Oh, right. Oh, good point.
But you might be confused because Method Man and Redman had an album together.
Well, and also because I was tweeting about the movie How High today when the Islanders. Yeah. By the way, as I realized in our post game recap, we didn't discuss the Islanders disallowed high sticking goal. So maybe should we start the post game recap all over again?
Yeah, let's start it again. Obviously, shout out to Matt Prefontaine. I'll just give them to you. Eric Sermon, Keith Murray, and Redman. Eric Sermon was in EPMD. You know how I love my hip hop, so I think I still have that album, to be honest with you.
I listened to Tupac a little bit, and I did like Method Man and Redman, but I did more of their movies than their music. I was more of a well, I'm an EDM guy now, but I was more of the alternative back in the day.
The big song on that album was Rapper's Delight, because it
was Rapper's Delight was a great.
And did Rapper's Delight, right? Yeah. And then Def Squad redid it. So.
And just to answer, Joe from Winnipeg said, I thought the unique code word generally had to do with the opponent. They generally do, but when something significant happens, we go with we can mix it up here a little bit. And I thought maybe some folks, TH Power,
hold on, I can bail you out here. Nino Niederreiter was drafted by the Islanders.
That's true.
5th overall
in 2010.
3 spots before. Got it, Dave?
No.
Alexander Burmistrov.
Oh, very well done.
2010 draft. Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Who was the last player? Okay, here's another little trivia, Ezzy. Who was the last player drafted by the Atlanta Thrashers in 2010?
So their last round pick?
Their 7th round pick.
Oh, I mean, I really want to Google right now.
No. And chat, don't help him out because I know someone in the chat's going to know.
There's absolutely, I have no idea.
I'll give you a clue. Okay. Are you ready?
I like clues.
He's from Winnipeg.
He's from Winnipeg and he was drafted. Oh, I want this one. Spencer Mahachek.
No.
Was Spencer Mahachek that year?
I believe so, yeah.
Spencer Mahachek even from Winnipeg?
No. Kasdorf was drafted by the Jets, though, folks. Snaku, you're wrong.
That was 2011.
That was 2011. This is 2010.
Just give it to me. We're already an hour and 16 minutes in.
Okay. Well, I'll give you one more clue. He played for the Manitoba Moose. From Winnipeg, played for the Moose, was the captain of the Manitoba Moose.
Oh, okay. Now I got it. Stojkovic.
Peter Stojkovic, the captain of the Manitoba Moose, was the last ever, which I always think is a little bit funny that the last draft pick ever of the Atlanta Thrashers was from Winnipeg. So that's kind of a little 2000. I don't know why I mute myself when I'm still talking. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. I got a little excited. Okay, as we're going to do the Tough Duck winner, so you start to talk. I'm going to post the comment.
Yep, we are going to tonight's Tough Duck winner is going to go. I hope that Daryl Grenko is still listening because it was about 40 minutes ago. The comment. I don't know if Dave has it up there, but I'll read it. Too many passes. There you go. Too many passes and not enough hitting. No one goes to the front of the net. The team is not willing to put in the work to win. Daryl, you have won the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com, or you can slide into my DMs at ICSEG, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you directly.
There you go, Daryl. Congratulations to Daryl. Congratulations to D-Train and all of our winners and everybody who's participating in all of these contests, who join us each and after every single Jets game and every Saturday morning at 9:00. Joining Drew, Ezzy, and myself while we chat, we ramble, we discuss, we analyze, we do whatever we need to do to keep you guys entertained. Hopefully you do. It's been a fun weekend, Ezzy. Been a lot of hockey, 4 games in a row for the Jets, the Moose.
I'm looking forward to sleeping. I don't know about you, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be going to sleep a little earlier than normal tonight, Dave.
I might go back to my parents because my brother-in-law was cooking a nice little barbecue today. So I haven't had dinner.
What's on the barbecue? Maybe I'll go too.
Yeah, there's some burgers, some dogs. So as maybe we'll wrap this up right now, and we'll.
I'm already with you. I might as well just go with you.
Well, Ezzy, but before we do,
I love going to the North End.
Yeah, that's true too. But more importantly, remember, what shirt are you wearing right now?
Seagram's.
Right. So you're wearing a Seagram shirt. I went to the wrong side.
I forgot to do it. Shot of the game. Right.
There we go.
Okay. So the Jets didn't score any goals here.
Okay. Yeah.
Plug for Fireball.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got it backwards.
Maybe get the right one. So shout out to Seagram's. Shout out to Fireball. We've got the big bottle, not like that little bottle that Mandel has.
Yeah. Well, you don't screw around here, Ezzy.
I have to go home and tuck my kids in. By the way, like they've already eaten, but I have to do like their bath and bedtime. So
we're getting
this isn't the best. Hopefully, my kids are not watching YouTube right now. But we're going to do a shot of Fireball here. So here we go. We're going to give the shot of the game. You know what? I could give it to Bo Horvat, but I'm going to give it to Brock Nelson.
Ooh, interesting.
Just because UND, great player. I think he's been underrated. I've always liked his game. So Brock Nelson, shot of the game, as he's getting the shot of Fireball, though.
Well, as he's tasting something called Fireball, tastes like heaven, burns like hell, and sometimes you have to ignite the night. Something the Jets didn't do, Ezzy.
Fireball.
They didn't. The Jets did not ignite the night, and unlike them, as he is trying to. So we're gonna hold on now. The question is, Frosty already posted the. There we go. Hold on. There we go. Frosty was way ahead of me, and I was farting around, Ez, so I didn't get it up there. But let's big thanks to all of our sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the postgame show, the Saturday show, and of course, illegalcurve.com, a possibility. They are Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg. Please support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Whew, it has been a long, it feels like it's a long weekend, Ezzy, and it's not a long weekend. It's actually a short weekend. The weekend
These
ends.
shows are just always better without Drew. Like they really are. Like I'm not joking. Like I'm being serious right now. The air is fresher.
Well, where there's more, first of all, there's more mic time for the two of us.
More mic time. Just everything is about it. It's more enjoyable.
Well, there you go. So
I'm obviously joking. I know people are going to think that I'm being too harsh on Drew. I'm joking. We miss you, Drew.
Well, he didn't do the show, so we don't really miss him. If he does the show, then we wouldn't miss him either. Anywho, thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast of Illegal Curve Hockey. Reminder to everyone, please smash that like button. Give us a like. We like the likes. Helps us with the algorithm. Make sure you're subscribing. I love the likes. And more importantly, not only do we want you to subscribe, we're trying to grow the channel. So how do you do that? It's word of mouth.
Tell your neighbors.
Tell your neighbors.
Yeah.
Share it on Facebook.
Come and join us on neighbor's house, ask them for a quart of milk or some sugar, and then also tell them to subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. That's what a good next door neighbor would do. That's
right. So I want that. Wouldn't that be nice, Ezzy? We should do a challenge show. We should challenge everyone to get one person to hit that subscribe button, and let's grow that Illegal Curve subscriber base.
Let's keep this Ponzi scheme going here.
we're nibbling at 5,000, so let's get up to 5,000 in the next few weeks, folks. And we can only do that with your assistance. So. What's that? We are close. So that's what we need.
We hit 10,000 on the Hockey Manitoba Instagram account. So that was a big milestone. 10K.
Wow. I mean, come on. We're at 12,000 on the Illegal Curve one. So talk to me when you hit the number.
No, I mean, we can't compete with IC's Instagram.
Anyways, the point is we appreciate if you can give us that assist. And the other way you can do that, in addition to going on and liking us on Facebook, is drop a comment on the podcast. We always appreciate if you go on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, however you get the podcast, and throw a comment on there as well. That helps us as well. Gets the name out, word of mouth. That's how we get spread. We appreciate all of you joining us, spending your Sunday with us, spending each and every day with us. Our next broadcast is coming your way on Tuesday after the Jets and LA Kings game. I don't know. Drew always seems to know the time, but he hasn't put it up so I don't know exactly when that'll be. But you know what? You won't have to worry
for the show.
No, well, yeah, he'll be like 8:45 or whatever.
Quarter to 10. It's a 7:00 start. I believe.
Oh, right. So it'll be 9:45. Yeah, 9:45.
I mean, basically, just add 2 hours and 45 minutes.
There you go, Drew.
That's tougher sometimes though. Like when you have the 2:30 start.
Well, even today was a little bit of a quick, and it was quicker. There weren't a lot of whistles, so that's why you know what you do. You go to illegalcurve.com because we will be staying up to date. Whether it's a game day or non-game day. Tomorrow, practice day, so there'll be a practice report. Moose are off, but like I said, they'll be backyard rinks. So there'll be lots of news and notes. Join us 7:00 tomorrow morning.
Trade. We have
maybe another trade, and if there is, you know your source, illegalcurve.com. Anyways, we thank you for joining us.
Talking, Dave. It's not me.
That's all good. It's all good, as we appreciate it. We love it. We love you. So let's let everybody get to the rest of their Sunday night. We will get to the rest of our Sunday night. And if there's any news, of course, illegalcurve.com and the Illegal Curve hockey and post-game shows will be ready to, keep you updated. So thanks a lot for joining us on the broadcast. Again, I'm Dave Manouk. He's Ezzy Ginsberg, and have a good